There was a time when the light of knowledge burned brighter in the east than anywhere else on earth. Across endless deserts, from the sands of Arabia to the banks of the Tigris, a new dawn was rising, one that would shape the destiny of humankind. In a world once divided by ignorance and war, a spark emerged. A voice in the desert called humanity to truth, to balance, and to learning. It began in the 7th century, with the rise of Islam. In the stillness of the Arabian night, caravans crossed golden dunes beneath a sea of stars. From this humble desert world, a call echoed across generations, a call that would awaken hearts and illuminate minds. The message was simple, yet profound. Seek knowledge, for in knowledge lies the path to understanding, to progress, and to the divine. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, spoke words that would ignite a civilization. Seek knowledge, even if it be in China. Those words became the spark that set the human spirit ablaze. Learning was no longer a privilege, it became a sacred duty, and within a single century, the world changed. From the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the plains of India in the east, a new world of ideas took shape. Empires rose, cultures intertwined, and from their meeting, brilliance was born. This was the age of transformation, an era where science, faith and philosophy walked hand in hand, where the written word became a weapon against ignorance, and where the pursuit of knowledge became the greatest act of devotion. At the heart of this revolution stood a city, Baghdad. In 762 AD, on the banks of the Tigris River, the Abbasid caliphs built a new capital. But this was no ordinary city. Baghdad was designed as a circle, perfect, balanced, symbolic of unity. Its walls shone with marble and gold, its streets filled with poets, traders and dreamers. But the true treasure of Baghdad was not gold or silk, it was wisdom. Here, a house was built that would change the world forever, the Beit al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom. It was more than a library. It was humanity's first great research institution, sanctuary for learning and discovery. In its walls, scholars gathered from every corner of the known world. Arabs, Persians, Greeks, Indians, Jews, and Christians. But to unite in their shared love of knowledge, here they translated the works of the ancients, the philosophy of Aristotle, the medicine of Galen, the geometry of Euclid. But they did not stop there. They questioned, they tested, they improved, they transformed what they learned into something greater. In those candlelit halls, surrounded by scrolls and manuscripts, the human mind reached new heights. The hum of discussion filled the air, the language of curiosity transcending borders and faiths. Ideas were exchanged like precious gems, polished by argument and insight. Among these scholars were names that would echo through the ages. Hunayn ibn Ishaq, the great translator who mastered languages and preserved the wisdom of Greece. Al-Kindi, the philosopher who first sought to reconcile reason and revelation. Al-Farabi, the thinker who imagined a perfect society guided by virtue and knowledge. And as centuries passed, the flame grew brighter. The Abbasid caliphs nurtured scholars like others, nurtured gardens. They rewarded discovery. They celebrated invention. Knowledge became a source of prestige, the true measure of greatness. Baghdad became the beating heart of the world's intellect. Its observatories mapped the heavens. Its hospitals treated the sick with compassion and skill. Its universities taught students from 3 continents. And all of it was powered by one belief, that understanding the world was an act of understanding God. In this world of learning, science and faith were not enemies. They were partners in the search for truth. Every discovery was seen as a reflection of divine order, every question a form of worship. The scholars of Islam believed that to study the universe was to read the signs of the Creator written in the stars, in the wind, and in the human soul. And so, they studied everything, from the turning of the planets to the beating of the heart, from the geometry of patterns to the harmony of music. The world itself became their book, vast, complex, and filled with wonder. Among these seekers of truth was a man named Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi, a mathematician whose mind would forever change the course of science. From his works came algebra, al-Jabr. From his methods came the concept of algorithms, the very foundation of modern computing. Every calculation made by machines today traces its lineage back to the House of Wisdom. Then there was Al-Razi, a physician and chemist who pioneered the field of medicine, studied diseases carefully, documented symptoms, and introduced clinical observation centuries before Europe's Renaissance. He built hospitals where healing was not a privilege, but a duty. And then Ibn Sina, known in the West as Avicenna, the great polymath whose canon of medicine became the cornerstone of medical education for 600 years. He wrote of anatomy, treatment, psychology, and the human spirit, linking science to compassion. In those same centuries, Al-Biruni studied the Earth's rotation and calculated its circumference with astonishing accuracy. Ibn al-Haytham experimented with light and vision, creating the principles of modern optics. They were not just scientists. They were explorers of reality itself, discovering divine beauty in the laws of nature. Beyond the laboratories and libraries, the streets of the Islamic world pulsed with culture and creativity. The markets of Damascus echoed with the rhythm of drums and poetry. In Cordoba, lamps lit streets at night while most of Europe lay in darkness. In Cairo, architects built palaces of marble and gardens that mirrored paradise. It was an age of beauty, of art, of harmony between heart and intellect. Calligraphers turned verses of the Quran into patterns of infinite grace. Mathematicians designed mosques where geometry became worship. Astronomers aligned domes with the stars, symbolizing heaven's perfection on earth. Faith and reason intertwined, not as rivals, but as reflections of the same truth. And so the Islamic world became the center of global civilization. Merchants traveled from Africa, Asia, and Europe to its markets. Sailors carried spices, silk, and ideas across oceans. Languages mixed, art evolved, and knowledge multiplied. While Europe slept through its dark ages, the East shone like a constellation of light. In Baghdad, scribes copied manuscripts that would one day revive the West. In Andalusia, Muslim, Christian, and Jewish scholars studied together in peace. They debated philosophy, medicine, astronomy, and faith, united by the belief that wisdom belonged to all of humankind. It was in this harmony that human civilization found its rhythm again. From Baghdad's House of Wisdom to Cordoba's libraries, millions of books filled the world, each one a candle lit against the darkness, each one a promise that the pursuit of knowledge was eternal. The Golden Age of Islam was not just a chapter in history, it was a revolution of the mind and the soul. It was sacred and discovered that light, once shared, can never be contained. And though centuries have passed, the brilliance of that age still echoes in our science, our medicine, our architecture, and in the very language of knowledge itself. The scholars of that age did not merely preserve the past, they expanded it. They took the wisdom of the ancients from Greece, Persia, India, and beyond, and built upon it with their own discoveries. They did not see knowledge as belonging to one culture or one people. To them, truth was universal, a light shining from many directions, illuminating a single path forward. As the centuries unfolded, new centers of learning emerged across the vast Islamic world. In the West, the city of Cordoba became the jewel of Al-Andalus, a city of 1,000 lamps where learning and art flourished together. Its libraries held hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, its streets were lined with scholars, and its mosques echoed with the rhythm of philosophy and poetry. Here, the legacy of the East found a new home. While much of Europe was still emerging from the shadows of the Dark Ages, the universities of Cordoba, Granada, and Seville shone like beacons of enlightenment. People came from all over, Christians, Jews, and Muslims, to study astronomy, medicine, mathematics, and philosophy. It was a place where minds met freely and where the thirst for understanding knew no boundaries. In the golden light of Andalusia, philosophy blossomed once again. Thinkers like Ibn Rushd, known in the West as Averroes, he introduced the works of Aristotle to Europe. He believed that faith and reason were not in conflict, but two paths leading to the same truth. His commentaries would later inspire scholars like Thomas Aquinas, planting the seeds of the European Renaissance. Beside him stood the poet and mystic Ibn Arabi, whose writings spoke not only of divine love, but of the unity of all existence. Ibn Arabi, The universe itself was a reflection of the divine, and knowledge was a form of worship. In his words, "He who knows himself knows his Lord." Subscribed the Golden Edge.